Hickok 45 here, and checking my handy pocket watch. Yeah, it's time to obliterate something. Sure is. Let's do that. Oh yes, it is definitely time to destroy something. Ah, ah. Oh yeah. And how about a 2-liter? And how about a cowboy? Yeah, Mr. Cowboy, I don't like you. I gave him a break. I missed a couple of times. Let's go back up to the shooting table and see what we have here. I didn't want to really put 5 rounds on him, you know. 3 is enough. And, oh man. Black powder. Did you notice that? Did you notice it in this too? Black powder. Look how dirty the cases are, see? That's what you get with black powder. Oh man. The trouble I go to for you people, right? Keep those separate. Yeah, we're shooting black powder in this because this thing was made in 1883. Yeah, you saw the title. Armed in 1883. That doesn't mean you have to have a firearm that was made in 1883, of course, but it does require, I think, we bring out the 1883 cavalry model, Colt Single Action Army, military model. This is a military assault pistol. Yes, has U.S. on it. It's a U.S. handgun. Adopted, and it was issued to somebody in a military branch of some sort in 1883. Pretty cool. Now it's in my hands and it's dirty. And so is this baby. So you know what we're doing. This is armed in 1883. We've done several of these. I hope you check them all out. They are in a playlist, all the armed in videos. And we have a lot of fun doing this and thinking about it a little bit. We don't overthink it, because there's so many choices. There's no need to overthink it. Armed in 2022. Go pick out 10 of your shooting buddies. And you're going to have a wide variety of firearms that they would have if you said, what's your favorite rifle? What's your favorite shotgun? What's your favorite handgun or carry gun or defensive pistol? Wow. Are you going to have very many duplicates? Nah, not many. You would have, certain areas you would, one of the 3. But so wide range of choices in almost any year, really. And again, these are not necessarily the best choices. We're not saying that. We're not even saying these will be my choices. I have no problem with them. We're just saying these are 3 possible choices for any given year. And in 1883, you could do a lot worse than a Colt Single Action Army, 45 Colt. A 12-gauge shotgun, rabbit ears, right? And an 1873 Winchester. Yeah, you could do a lot worse. Now we got a little ambiance out here. My Jimmy Lyle knife, just couldn't resist that. Got a $20 gold piece, someone might have been using at the time. Again, we're in the 1880s. And, it's been so long ago, I almost can't remember the year or that decade, but there were things going on. It was kind of a tough time, which we'll talk about. And 1883, I think it was like 1880, about 1882 to 85, the U.S. was in a kind of a depression. So it was not good economic times, but that same year, the Brooklyn Bridge was completed. After 13 years of construction. Took a while. It takes a long time to make a bridge now, but 13 years, I think, making that thing. And those of you who lived there probably remember, when it was started in 1880, well, before 1883, minus 13, might be around 1870. Kentucky math. So that happened. I think it was the year that Buffalo Bill started his Wild West show, Omaha, Nebraska. Yeah. What else? Kroger opened their first grocery in Cincinnati, Ohio. They're based in Cincinnati, Ohio. So that makes sense. Kroger, you may not have heard of them, but if you live in the South, Midwest, you probably have. Big grocery chain. And one of the most important things that happened that year was James and Margaret Dutton took off for Montana on a short, small wagon train, and had a rough time, getting out there. Lots of mishaps and misfortunes and everything, trials and tribulation, but they made it, and were able to, later resume their singing career, back in Nashville. But very interesting times, the 1880s. Like I say, it's so long ago I can barely remember it. Again, these firearms are 3 that might have been chosen. Okay, we're going to shoot them a little bit and talk about them and let you go, make you go home. Well, this was not brain surgery, was it? In the 1880s, that someone might choose a Colt Single Action. The simplicity of it, the power of a .45 Colt, not too hard to understand. You want me to shoot it again? Okay. Let's get some more black powder ammo out here. Now this one was a cavalry Colt, U.S. issue. So a civilian might not have as easily come by a new one, but I have read that these things were so much in demand and so desirable that, some of them ended up in civilian hands because some soldiers just happened to lose, quote unquote, their handgun. Boy, I'm sure there would have been a lot of penalty for that, but, if they sold it, so they actually lost them, right? But they did end up in civilian hands, especially, 10 years after the adoption. So that's not unheard of that a civilian might have one of these, okay? They might have scratched off the U.S. or something. So black powder, let's shoot that 2-liter. I think it shoots pretty much right on. Yeah, as far as windage. And how about a stop sign? Boom. Yeah, that was 5. So gets really dirty because it's black powder, but that's the way they sounded. That's the way they looked. Okay, old dirty powder back in the 1880s, and man, dirtying this thing up. But that's about the only way I'll shoot it. And I'll just have to clean it up. I keep her oiled down, and and she'll be like new. When I finish with it, I'll take it all apart, and there you go. Keep it oiled. Nice old gun. Pretty sound. So anyway, that would have been a good choice. It would. By 1883, the Smith & Wessons were out, of course, the Russian models, the Schofield, the number 3s, and the others, and they were pretty popular. The Colt was, it dominated. A lot of the Smith & Wessons, as desirable as they were to a lot of people, a little more fragile. I think they were a little more expensive, and so many of them went to Russia. They had this massive contract to sell them to Russia. I forget how many. Was it like 150,000? It was I don't know. I don't remember the number now, but it was a massive number of them in 44 caliber, 44 Russian. Imagine that. And so they Colt had, I guess, better control of the U.S. market for one thing. But Smiths were popular, and these were simple and powerful, especially in 45 Colt, which was the most powerful or popular caliber in terms of the number of them made. I think as many were made in 45 Colt as all the other calibers combined, although 44 was very, very common, like we're shooting in this 1873. All right, let's go to the shotgun. You've seen it fire. Let's fire it again. Yeah, good old double barrel shotgun. The shotgun was a really important tool, a key tool in the West, and maybe not all of them were sawed off like this stagecoach length, but a shotgun like this or longer was just incredibly popular because a lot of people, they didn't have a lot of resources. They'd get an old shotgun, maybe even a single barrel, and that would get them through. You could do about anything you needed to do. You could hunt with it. You could feed the family, traveling out west, whatever you're doing. And for defensive use, just you name it. Y'all know how versatile a shotgun is. It was versatile back then. So let's shoot it again. You want to? Be careful what I'll shoot that old tin can. What is that, a popcorn can or something? Blew the lid right off. Let's shoot a 2-liter at a distance. Where did I go? How did I miss that? Well, who knows? Maybe I didn't. Yeah, I see it leaking, I think. I don't know. Black powder, nice. Let's try that again. So yeah, shotgun, you could load buck and ball, you could load bird shot. Yeah, I did. Let's do a better job on him. Let's get a little closer. Yep, in 1883, an important weapon or tool. There we go. Especially at close range, right? Good old 12 gauge. Can't beat that. Is that a coach gun or what? This happens to be an Ithaca, and it was made in 1902. You've seen a video on it, I hope. So it's an old shotgun. It's not quite, back into the 1880s, but pretty close. A lot of them just like that back in the 1880s. And it looks like the 1880s, doesn't it? It's a nice old shotgun. Pretty cool. So, yeah, can't beat a double barrel shotgun. And then, of course, for a rifle, lots of choices in a rifle by 1883. You could have gone with some really powerful single shot. My gosh, a Sharps or something like that would be in a bigger caliber. An 1876 Winchester, a more powerful round. But it's hard to beat the good old 4440, the 1873 Winchester. Very, very popular for a lot of years. And not the most powerful, but wow, you had the capacity. You had an iron frame, unlike the 1866 and the Henry. You had an iron frame, you had a loading gate, unlike the Henry. You could top it off, and just a really nice, and this is an original. You've seen the video on this, I hope. It was donated to us by a family where the father died, and the son wanted us to have it. If you haven't seen the first video on this firearm, why not? Gosh, you're going to make me mad if you're not watching the videos. No, so check that out. Maybe I'll link to it. So this is neat. It's this one was made in 1886. Okay, this exact firearm. Okay, so again, not 1883, but 1886. It was made, but just like one made in 1870 or 1883 or whatever. So you want to shoot it a little bit? Let's load it. 4440. Put a few rounds in it. This would have been a pretty good choice on the Frontier. Again, it's not an elephant gun with the 4440, but you have a lot of capacity, a reliable gun, extremely popular, and pretty easy to shoot well. People just really liked them back then, and depending on what you're doing, what your needs were. It's very comforting if you're out, in the wilderness, and you have, 15, 16, 17, whatever, rounds of 44. Okay, so let's just shoot a couple of them. Yeah, man, nice old rifle. Now these are not black powder. Let's wake up Mr. Gong. You want to? Let's wake up Mr. Buffalo. See, you could have hunted buffalo with this thing. How about that red square plate? How about that red plate on the right? Yeah, 1886, and it still shoots. How about that disc over there hanging? Do a little disco. Oh, I knew that was off. Why did I pull the trigger? I knew that one was off. You ever do that? Okay, let's hit it. You can tell when you pull the trigger sometimes if you should have pulled it. Nice. Mr. Bowling Pin. I wonder if anybody ever shot a bowling pin with this thing back in the 1880s. Cowboy, let's shoot you right in the hat. Yeah, got him right on top of the hat. He's empty. So yeah, an 1873 Winchester was a popular choice for a lot of people back then, right? No doubt about that. And in 1883, that would have been a good choice. And speaking of 1883 again, the series that I alluded to earlier, John and I are watching it, and I know some of you are, friends of mine are, and we had high hopes for it, and it's pretty good. You know, like anything else, it has its maybe a few weaknesses, a little drama here and there, but it's really well done, very realistic, we think, in a world where it's hard to get a good Western anymore. You know, it really is. Lots of B grade and C grade Westerns out there, and you start watching it, Netflix, oh, there's one, wow, looks interesting. Whew. About 3 minutes in, you know, you're tuning out. So anyway, if you haven't seen it, 1883, Tim McGraw, Faith Hill, Sam Elliott, it's a prequel to Yellowstone, and it's interesting, and all these firearms are used in it. You know, we love doing these armed in back in the 1800s. We've only done a couple, I guess, two maybe, and so we chose 1883 because of the Colt, and then also, you know, we've been watching that series. Oh, it's an interesting year. Let's talk about that year a little bit, and what firearms we might have chosen, what firearms you might have chosen, right? Again, these are not the best firearms necessarily, and as I have mentioned before, if you had been around back then, maybe you would have chosen these three firearms, and after 3 or 4 years, you might have gone to a different handgun. You might have gone to a different, by 1886, for example, when the 4570 or bigger bore came out in the Winchester, you might have moved to that, you know, just like we do today. I changed my carry guns and different firearms lots of times. My favorite shotgun has kind of evolved, and, you know, so that's just the way it is. So we could do another video tomorrow on 1883 and have different firearms, you know, so a lot of choices, and not necessarily the best, but I think some viable choices. I mean, who could argue really with these three? And again, it depends on what you're doing. You know, if you're only in the mountains, you know, you're only hunting buffalo. You're hunting in 1883. I think most of the buffalo had been hunted out pretty soon after that. But depending on what you're likely to meet up with, Mr. Grizz in the mountains, or maybe the biggest varmint that might threaten you is a rabbit, you know, or a deer or whatever, then, you know, that would affect your choices, wouldn't it? The length of your firearm, the weight of it, maybe you want a saddle carbine, a shorter one, lighter firearm, shotgun, you wouldn't have any use for a short one, you'd want a longer one, or whatever. Maybe you want a shorter one than this, you know. Handgun, maybe you'd want a shorter barrel, you know, maybe a Smith & Wesson or a different type, so different caliber, right? But anyway, in 1883, and maybe you'd want a bigger knife than this Jimmy Lyle knife, you know, because that's not really very big. You know, if you're up in Grizz country, you might want something bigger than that, right? But those are pretty good choices. I'd be happy with them, I think, in most cases. And I think most of you can appreciate that. And it's cool to have, sometimes we have a mix of firearms when we do these. It's always a mix. But these are all pretty old, and that's always even more fun. And I thought it deserved a little dress up, okay, to look a little more foolish than normal videos, because, you know, just out of respect, 1883 this thing was made, okay? 1902, this thing been around over 100 years, right? Yeah. And this thing, 1886, so, you know, all these firearms are well over 100 years old, and we're out here enjoying them with bowling pins and 2 liters, and we just owe them a debt of gratitude, and just thought we would honor them with a cowboy hat, okay? So 1883, a good year, I guess, you know, and at least the firearms from that period I truly enjoy, and I know many of you do too. So if there was anything I left out that I meant to say, you probably would know what it was, so I guess we're good. So good old firearms of 1883, and I got them all dirty, and wow, can you believe I did that? Maybe since I got them dirty, I ought to just shoot 2 more shotgun shells. You want to? Let's do it, and then I'll let you go. You knew I'd have to shoot something, didn't you? Yeah, look at that. Oh man, 12 gauge. Let's just destroy this paper target over here. All right. Wow. Nice. Get that smoke. Is that pretty? Is that a pretty thing? Can y'all smell it? Can you smell the sulfur? I know you can see it. I'll smell it for you. So anyway, 1883. Interesting year, interesting firearms. I love the firearms of the Old West, and many of y'all do too. Glad you came out to enjoy them with us. Life is good.
Tired. It's a long walk from where I had to shoot that. Oh man. Oh hey, didn't see you guys there. Since you're here, I want to let you know about our friends over at Talon Grips and Ballistol. TalonGunGrips.com. Check out everything they have over there. You can get lots of different grips, the stick-on grip textures for your handguns and rifle grips, so go check them out. Also Ballistol, they're a firearms lubricant or anything else you might need lubricating. It's water soluble and non-toxic. Been using it on the compound and cleaning all of our guns. It's a cleaner and a lube for over 10 years. So Ballistol, Talon Grips, definitely check both of those companies out. And also, while you're on the internet, don't forget to go to Hickok45.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Hickok45, Twitter, Hickok45, Instagram, The Real Hickok45, and also I have an Instagram page where I post behind the scenes stuff and different things like that. John, John _ HICKOK45 on Instagram. And the next thing you have to do is watch more videos.